When you're buying a mechanical keyboard, you're looking at spec, the brand, reviews like this one, typing and sound feel, what size to get for your needs. A 65 that doesn't have the F-row, the most compact minimalist one, the 75 all-arounder that has the F-row and no numpad, or the 100% layout that doesn't compromise on anything, but is less portable. By the end of this video, you'll have a better idea of what size, which switch to get for your setup. The Nuphy Air 75 V3 launched in June of 2025, almost a year ago. I've had it since August, so it's been like a good 8 months that I've been using this keyboard as my main keyboard. They released the 65 and the 100 March 30th of 2026. Since they did the first release, they have enhanced anti-oxidation performance on their white keycaps. Ultimately, the Nuphy Air series is a good compact mechanical keyboard. Somebody that is new to the mechanical keyboard space, or they just want something that's ready out of the box, well priced, has some premium features on it, has great typing feel and sound. You do have a few simple options to choose from. 2 different colors, 3 different switches. I will cover some of the specs of the keyboard and the similarities and differences between them. But if you do want to deep dive further into the Air 75, I do have a review of that. I will link in the description. You can watch that after this review. It'll be pretty much applicable for the rest of the Nuphy Air series, minus the emoji cat keycap. They don't have that anymore. This video is partially sponsored by Nuphy. They did also provide me the keyboards for testing and review. They have no say in my review. I only work with brands that give me full creative control and trust my process in how I review, and acknowledge that I'll provide an honest review based on my experience of what I like and dislike. If you're new here, I'm Jess. This is Gadgets Gear Coffee, where I do real world and in-depth reviews of well-designed products like tech, cycling, coughing, and the gears that connect them. My goal is to reach 50K subscribers by the end of this year, so if you like to discover really cool products in real life, real use, click the subscribe. It's free, and stick around. The pricing is going to be a little bit different for all 3. Of course, the 65% layout is going to be cheaper than the 75 compared to the 100. Obviously, there's more materials. I do have a great discount code. It is linked in the description, especially if this review helps you. Buying through those affiliate links costs you nothing. It does give me a little bit of a kickback, which helps to support the channel so I can continue making great free content like this, reviews, buying gear, filming equipment. You get to save a little bit of money. And if you do get it, please do come back and share your experience. I would love to hear in the comments. What's the same or what's available on all 3? The Nuphy Air series, 3 different switches that you can choose from. You're likely to find one that you like out of those 3. North-facing LED. They're all Gateron, low-profile, hot swappable switches, and they include the tools, keycap, and switch remover. They're all pre-installed, but you can easily remove them if you want to buy other switches that they offer, or other compatible switches. They're all low profile keyboards. Not a huge jump if you're coming from a laptop keyboard to this. It comes in 2 different colors, a nebula black, white color. They're double shot PBT keycaps. There is 1 mold for the letters, the legends, and then a mold for the rest of the keycap. So the legends can never fade. 2 different colors, plastic, assembled together. It has an NSA profile, it's their own little profile. I think I've read that some people struggled with the keyboard, or maybe they were slipping and making mistakes. I haven't had that. And there's a little bit of texture on the keycaps as well. So I find that I'm not really slipping on the keycaps, but of course that will differ, like even how your skin is. It'll differ for everybody. Smooth 220 grit sanded aluminum case CNC machine, 1 piece. Very premium. Does make the keyboard a little bit heavier than a full plastic keyboard. Is going to be a little bit more resistant to scratching and damage and dents because it is aluminum versus plastic. It's also gasket mounted, but does provide a little bit of sound dampening as well as some cushioning. That's something that you would find generally on a little bit more expensive keyboards. But as time goes on and the keyboard world is getting more and more competitive, it's starting to trickle down. Still excellent to have that plastic case on the back. They both look beautiful. There's an interesting thing that I've noticed for the color, something that you may factor in. On the white, I find that the color's a little bit brighter. RGB light is bouncing a little bit on the keycaps. The back of the case is also kind of more transparent, whereas Nebula Black, the back of the case is like a transparent-ish sort of, but it's also black and darker. On the white one, there's a little bit of light spilling out from the back of the case onto your surface. However, on the dark keyboard, the colors appear more saturated against the black, and the black is a little bit more uniform since the case on the white one is silver and the keycaps are white, and the black, it's just black on black. So it has a little bit of that sleeker look. Black will show dust more and white will show dirt more. Will that matter? Maybe. maybe not. The keycaps are also not shine through. Have shine through available as an add-on you could buy separately when you were checking out. I think I would have preferred a shine through keycap, but I also am very fine with the keycaps as is. I find that I get plenty enough of a dopamine hit with the RGB lighting at night. I don't know if the shine through might have been maybe too much. I don't need to look at my keyboard too much when I'm typing because I can type not looking at the keyboard since I was like 9 years old. That'll be up to you if that's really a deal breaker. In terms of RGB lighting, we have the backlight RGB lighting. We also have these two little sidebar side lights. All of these RGB patterns are programmable. The light intensity, the color, the sidebars even have typing speed. The sidebars are decorative, also serve to give you some visual cues. So when you first turn on the keyboard, the light indicator on the right that says if you're on Windows or Mac, briefly show you the battery life. You can also trigger the battery life at any point with FN/, which is our default mapping. On the left side, it'll indicate the different connectivity with Bluetooth 1, 2, 3 being blue color, or if you're using the dongle, then it'll be green. If you have caps lock on, then light blue on the left. Speaking of connectivity, 3 Bluetooth connectivities. So if you have this hooked up to your phone, to your tablet, you can switch between the connectivities with FN 1, 2, 3. Except on the 65% layout, it would be FN QWE. FN1 is reserved for F1, so that's why it has to go one row lower. It also has a 1000 hertz polling rate with a 2.4 gigahertz dongle USB-A. It stores nicely in the keyboard so you don't lose it. Seems like all of these dongles are always still USB-A across like all of a lot of the keyboards that I have looked at. If you have a computer that doesn't have a USB-A, that would be maybe annoying if you really wanted to use this. If you don't have a USB-A to USB-C, that would be something you would have to buy additionally on your own. You can also connect it with a USB-C to USB-C cable. It also has an adapter on the end that goes from USB-C to USB-A. Nice retro looking cable. Each series has their own look, from the packaging to even the cables, which is a really fun little touch. There are rubber feet on the back designed so that it can sit on every MacBook for sure, and most laptops. For the 65 and 75, not the 100, that means that you can throw it on top of your laptop and use this keyboard connected through, let's say, Bluetooth, which is what I do, and then you can have a nice mechanical keyboard and still use your laptop in a pseudo-compact way. Once you get used to mechanical keyboard and you get a little bit of a dopamine hit with the RGB and the sound and the feeling, it gets a little harder to go back to a laptop keyboard. It's just nice to have that option. It also has 3 different angles you can choose from. The default angle is 4 degrees, then you have 2 different heights of the feet at 8 and 10, which you can still always use with the laptop. You use it on Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, basically every known operating software I can think of that's out there. There are a few layouts available like ANSI, JIS, ISO German, but the most layout options are on the 75 layout keyboard, which I would assume is the more popular one that people are going for. You also get a couple of extra keycaps to accommodate a Windows or Mac keyboard. There is one keycap, which is on the top right for the 65 and 75, and between the numpad and the rest of the keyboard for the 100 layout. You can swap to the included knob module and use either a low profile or high profile knobs. Very easy to install, a little bit trickier on the 100 just because there's a little bit lack of space around there to get the tool in there. But it's not something that you're gonna be switching every single day. You're likely to do it one time and that's it. Small note is that the low profile knob that I have installed on this one is a different color because I grabbed this one. Slight differences between the 2 knobs, but if I'm being really picky, they do wobble a tiny bit. And in real use, I don't notice it. It's just if I'm messing around with it and I'm wobbling it, it's a little bit more noticeable on the high profile knob. My preference is the low profile knob, especially on the 65 and 75 that are more compact. On the 100, I kind of like the high profile knob more because there's like keys surrounding all around it. Because there's keycaps all around it, I find it a little bit easier to be able to grab and pinch. And the low profile knobs, you're instead rotating and using it on its side. It's kind of like gear shape, so it's very easy. The size difference between them, I covered it briefly. The 65 is the most compact, there's no F-row. It's shorter in this direction than the 75, but the width on the 75 and the 65 are the same. Now the 75, we have the top F-row, no numpad. This is basically every single laptop keyboard. And if you want the number pad, if you have the size for it, then it would be the 100. This is gonna be more of a desktop keyboard because it's gonna be a little bit less portable. I haven't had a full 100% layout keyboard since, I don't know, big box computers, you know, with floppy disks. I do all my own bookkeeping, so I'm constantly putting in different numbers. So it does come in handy quite a bit. Honestly, I don't need it. I have been fine without a number pad. If you do use numbers a lot and you have the space for it and the budget for it, this is something that I would look at. The 100% layout is of course going to be the biggest of the three. It's going to be longer and wider. On the 100 layout keyboard, it doesn't follow necessarily nicely the grid pattern because you have this little bloop, bloop, little zigzag where the arrows are. I'm guessing it has to do with the knob module because I've seen other 100 layout keyboards where there isn't that gap, so the right arrow would fall right under the number 1 keycap on the numpad, and everything is a nice continuous grid. So visually that could be something that could bother you. Because the 0 is a single keycap to keep things compact instead of a double wide keycap, some people may accidentally press the right arrow with muscle memory from using other numpads. I guess I'm not that fast with a numpad because I haven't encountered that issue myself, but it is a possibility and something to be aware of or something to get used to. In my case, I preferred that they did make that compact instead of wasting that space because I have a tiny desk. It's only 28 inches wide. On top of it, I have my ergonomic mouse on one side and I have my Toolbox Elite macro controller on the other side for video editing. So I don't have a lot of real estate on my table. All of them are the same height and they're all a thin, low profile. I mean, as thin, low profile as you can get and still be a mechanical keyboard. Thinnest at the bottom, 13.2 millimeters, and at its thickest, 26.5 millimeters. The 65% layout doesn't have that F-row. I only use the F-rows for the end, like the F11, 12 or something, and the F1 and 2 to adjust the brightness of my monitor and to adjust the volume. On the 65% layout, that knob feature really comes in handy. By default, when you install the knob, it adjusts your volume. You can add a couple of additional layers for all of these different keys by pressing 1, 2, or 3 more keys while doing another action. So I remap FN plus knob on my 65% layout keyboard to adjust the brightness of the monitor. All of the other F-row keys I didn't use. For example, the spotlight feature, the magnifying glass button, I always just got used to pressing command and space bar, so it's muscle memory for me. The 65% layout, when I first tried it out, I thought it was gonna be a large compromise, but it actually isn't because of that knob. For me anyway. And if you do wanna access all of your F-rows, by pressing FN and then 1, you'd be doing F1. FN plus 9 would be F9. You don't lose your F-rows, they're still there. You just don't visually see what each one is. So if you rely on the icons, you've lost the icons. The 75 has that F-row. The knob, I reprogrammed it to adjust the lighting intensity of the RGB lighting because I'm constantly turning it on and off. But you can also do that with the function shortcuts. I show all of that in the instruction manual, and I also talk about it in my Nuphy.io remapping video. There's also some differences when it comes to battery life. The 65% layout has 2500 milliamp hour battery, while the 75 and the 100 have 4000 milliamp hour. The best runtime of the three is the 75 because you have less keys than the 100, but it's the same battery. I've been alternating a lot in the last like 2 months between the three. I have tested this one at its full capacity, multiple charges over by now. My general time frame for when I have to recharge is about every 2 months. I'm using the keyboard probably a good 8 hours a day every day, like 6 to 7 days of the week. I personally don't have the RGB on during the day, I just have it on at night. So that is the way that I maximize the battery life. I'm a night owl, so I'm turning on the RGB for probably good 4 to 6 hours a night. My trick is I have it on brightness level 2 out of 4. I find that is, for me, the right balance between having it bright enough and not killing the battery life. So the 75% layout is gonna be the all-arounder. And if you do end up bringing this around with you, this is not the newest one. They have a new folio that works even better, that has like an easy magnet open close. It has like origami type of lines, have a little tablet stand, so it's multifunctional. And I would really suggest that you get a case. You do plan on transporting it with you. I didn't have a case at the beginning. I had some metal camera gear in my backpack with the keyboard, and even though I was pretty careful, it ended up damaging a little bit the edge of one of my keycaps a little bit. In the end, I don't feel it. Thankfully, on my fingers, it hasn't impacted any type of performance or anything. It did make me a little bit sad because now I have a dent in the keycap that was entirely my fault. Onto switches and sound. There are 3 available switches that you can choose: the blush nano, the red nano, and the brown tactile. I got to try all 3 now, so I can give a pretty good assessment. The quietest one and the softest one to type with is going to be the blush nano. The red nano, it's going to be a little bit crispier in sound. You'll feel the bottoming out the most on the red nano, a little bit more of that clacky sound compared to the 2 other ones. Then you have the brown tactile that does have a little bit of that muted sound, but not as muted as blush nano for sure. Blush nano is what you would get if you work in an open office and you don't want to bother everyone around you. Brown tactile, it has more resistance and feedback in its tactility because there is that pressure point and operating point. There's a little bit of a bump there. So when you're typing on it, there's more resistance at the very beginning, and then it softens a little bit towards the end. The one that I can feel the most in my fingers at the bottoming out is gonna be the red nano. Probably why I'm getting more of a crispier sound. The brown tactile and the blush nano, a nicer experience when you bottom out the keys. The blush nano is a bit softer when you're typing. It's not mushy feeling at all. It's still very satisfying. It still also has quite a nice sound to it, but is significantly quieter than the other 2. From quietest to loudest, blush nano, then the brown, then the red nano. In terms of easier to press to harder to press, blush nano, red nano, then brown. Deep richness sound. Brown tactile is gonna have a little bit more thocky sound than the red nano as well. I don't find there to be any significant rattle on the space bar in real use, but it can sound different depending on where you do tap it. My thumb usually hits in the middle of the space bar, and out of the 3 switches, I did notice that the blush nano is the only one that doesn't really match the rest of the blush nano key presses because the space bar is made of 1 switch and 2 generic supports that don't move. This happens if you do type hard with the nano blush switch. If you don't press the space bar hard, which you don't really have to with the blush nano, it's less likely to be an issue. Each time I rotate between them, I get used to it, I adapt, and then I'm like, great, I like this one. Then I try another one, and then I have to readapt. And I'm like, okay, well, I actually like this one now. They're all different in feeling and sound. If you have any favorites or additional comments that could help other people, chime in the comments. I hope that helped you. Please like, hype, do all the things. If you do want to see the review of the Air 75 in depth, click on this video right here. If not, the YouTube algorithm is suggesting that this video may be of interest to you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, thank you. Ooh. It's gonna be my existence in this whole review.